One, happy June. I will call this meeting of the Los Gatos Town Council to order. Town Clerk, can we please have a roll?
Councilmember Eni.
Here.
Councilmember Hudis.
Here.
Councilmember Badami.
Here.
Vice Mayor Risto.
Here.
Mayor Moore.
Here. Thank you. So we'll now begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. And we have Knox Slifer here with us today. And I'll say just a few things about Knox as he comes up. So Knox goes to Alta Vista Elementary School. He's a fourth grader. He loves sports, including basketball, flag football, soccer, volleyball, and golf. Favorite subjects are science and reading and PE. Does that sound about right? Okay. His community service is feeding the homeless, which is fantastic. Good for you. And when asked what his favorite thing about Los Gatos is, he said the farmer's market, Grace Preschool, and his mom has a business in town. What's your mom's business in town?
Juiceco LG.
Juiceco LG. What's your favorite thing at Juiceco?
All of it.
All of it? Great answer. Me too. If you're ever feeling sick, go to Juiceco LG all the time. But whenever I'm coming down with something, I drink a couple juices and I'm better like in a day or two. So check out Juiceco LG. Okay, you ready for the pledge?
Yeah.
All right.
I pledge.
Oh, do you want to say please stand?
No.
Okay, please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Nice. Well done, Knox. Okay, so now starting with Councilmember Badami down at the end, we'll shake each of our hands, and then the town clerks will generously give you a little treat at the end. And I do think we have one for your brothers, too, if they want. So just start with Councilmember Badami. Thanks again, Knox. All right, I now have the honor of presenting commendations to our outgoing youth commissioners, which is a very bittersweet thing we do each year. The Los Gatos Youth Commission, for those that aren't aware, is one of our town commissions, an advisory body to the town council that is made up of local high school students and even a few eighth graders. And so each year we like to provide commendations to our outgoing youth commissioners. And so will our outgoing youth commissioners please come on up? And while they're coming up, one of the things I'll just say about the Youth Commission and our youth commissioners is I think it's so important that we take the voices of our youth seriously. They do so much on the Youth Commission. They have organized many incredible things, including our first multicultural fair, and staffed and worked at the Spring into Green event and helped educate our community about the importance of environmentalism and so much more. And one of the things that I think is especially important about recognizing and uplifting the voices of youth is that the world that we're building here, the town we're voting on regularly, is the world that you're going to inherit. And so it's critically important that your voices are, not only at the table, but involved in decision making. And I think the Youth Commission very much does some of that. So thank you very, very much for your service to the Youth Commission. And I have a commendation for each of you, but do you just want to each say your name and maybe your favorite thing about serving on the Youth Commission?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Cody, and I am going to be the outgoing chair, or the former chair of the Youth Commission this past year. This would be my fourth year when I joined with Praveen over here. And my favorite part about being on the Youth Commission has probably been coming to these town council meetings at the beginning of the year and the end of the year to make our town council presentations.
Hi, my name is Ashvi. This was my first year on the Youth Commission, and I think my favorite thing about being on Youth Commission was meeting so many people who are so inspiring and watching these events come to life.
Hi, my name is Praveen. Like Cody, I've been on the Youth Commission for the last 4 years, and I would say my favorite thing is probably all the like interesting people from like so many different like schools and backgrounds that I've been able to meet across the last 4 years. I've made friends with so many upperclassmen and lowerclassmen, and I think that's been such a rewarding experience.
Hi, my name's Connor Crowes. This is my second year on the Youth Commission, and I'm a senior at LGHS. And I think my favorite thing was this year, I've always had sort of been fascinated with the intersection of business and sustainability. And so this year, being able to model the fiscal impact of some of the ordinances that the environmental ad hoc was proposing, that was super fun and also really cool to do.
Can we give our youth commissioners a round of applause? All right. Sure. Perfect. We will now get to the business of the meeting. And so we'll begin with consent. If there's anyone in the audience that wants to speak either on the consent calendar, during public communications, or on a regular item, please fill out a speaker card and bring it up to the clerks. And so we'll begin with consent. Are there any council members wanting to pull an item from consent? Okay. Seeing none, we'll take public comment on consent, and we will start with Gus Hu.
I'm going to keep this really short. I turned in a supplemental or in the packet, so you know what my positions are. There was not one picture that didn't come out, and that was an older picture of what Saratoga for the wildfires. It was a year ago. I've already turned this in several times, and it was basically saying that that Saratoga, would give $200,000, not because our property taxes pay for the fires and stuff like that, and that's in the supplemental. So I just wanted to make sure this will be coming in on item number 10. It'll be number 2, but it didn't make the picture. And that way it was in the Weekly Times about a year ago. But you guys have already seen that.
Thank you. Okay, and I see no hands raised on Zoom for consent. And so I will entertain a motion on consent. Yes, Councilmember Badami.
I move to approve consent items 1 through 9.
Perfect. Vice Mayor Risto?
Second, and that includes the desk item because there were revised contract terms for, what item is that? Item with the agreements with our consultants. It doesn't say on this desk item what item that was.
I think there are two items where there is new information in either an addendum or a desk item. The first is consent calendar item number 4. And there's a revised version of the landscape maintenance agreement that was provided in an addendum, and staff is asking for that to be approved. And then the second
Item
one
7. That's right.
is
Item 7.
Item
Okay.
7.
Okay, I found it. Sorry. Okay, so with those 2 changes.
All right, so I will go ahead and approve or make a motion to approve items 1 through 9 with the revised addendum for item number 4 and also for item number 7.
Can you please also add the addendum this is Nicole Burnham, Director of Parks and Public Works, the addendum for item 5 as well?
And I'd also like to include the addendum for item number 5 as well. Thank you.
Okay, second.
Perfect. Yes, Councilmember Hudis.
Just a comment. I'm really delighted to see the inclusion of the accounts payable and payroll reports. it's really helpful for us to have visibility into that. So thank you very much to our finance staff for doing that.
Thank you. Then I will call the question. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Passes unanimously. Perfect. So that takes us through items 1 through 9, and we will now move on to verbal communications, which reminds me, I did want to announce that tonight is election night, and if anyone has not voted, you have precisely 48 minutes left to turn your ballot into one of the boxes right in front of the library. So please make sure you voted. Okay, moving on to public comment. So this is for verbal communications. This is for items that are not on the agenda. And so we will begin with J.B. Wood, and he'll be followed by Gus Hu. You'll have 3 minutes.
Good evening, everyone. My name is J.B. Wood. My wife and I live at 238 Bachman Avenue. And I'd like to submit a petition to the town council signed by hundreds of Los Gatos residents and visitors to address the blight that exists at 208 Bachman Avenue, previously known as the C.B. Hannigan's building. I delivered hundreds, I could have delivered thousands, because virtually everybody we asked to sign, their immediate reaction was finally somebody's going to do something about this building. You work so hard, the town council, the planning committee, the historical committee, to ensure the visual continuity of the town, and yet here in the middle of the historic district sits this eyesore. So we would like to request some form of written feasibility remediation report by the town sometime in the August or September timeframe to provide some guidance to the community about what options are available to us to improve the situation at 208 Bachman Avenue. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the speaker? Yes, Vice Mayor Stowe.
Yeah, not for the speaker, sorry.
Oh, sorry. Thank you very much. Thanks for being here. Okay, we will go to Gus Hu. And after Gus, we will have Keith Blaine.
Toto, a couple things go through. Soccer, verbal. I had to say something about the World Cup coming. So that was my little, there's Toto. Let's see, I gave you a picture. I am appealing the planning commissions. I am appealing the planning commission on WVMA. I believe I was the first person to appeal. I have the fundamental rights to appeal. And I don't know if you've been informed, but I sat through it and stuff like that, and I've done class actions in federal court. So I know basically the right to be heard by testified public hearings, cities or town council meetings during the rulemaking process of government. I'm hoping that you follow the law, and because I believe I was the first person to appeal the right. ICE, the people behind me have been doing this ICE corruption government. I've been saying it for some time. I look back on some records on March 18th, 2025. The council ordered the federal funding and grants be how they were to be impacted. It's in the minutes. It was on number 12. 15 people spoke, and you're supposed to report back every 2 months how things developed. No, there was no big reports. I don't know what happened to it, but that's on March 18th, 2025. So a lot of these people looked like did speak on it and wanted, they were worried about how people, how the government was reacting to and how it affected the town. And I think we should have an agenda item because I have pictures, you know, I say that this picture here is an old picture, but I said that the ear stuff is fake, even the picture of the bullet going by, and I have, evidence on that. So if we had an agenda item, I can show some of the stuff. And then the last thing was the pride flag. This is, I do have concerns because it's sending a wrong message. It's because if women can, guys can play women's sports in college things, or boys can go into locker rooms and stuff like that. It's just, I think the debate should have been between two people instead of being pushed to us. Thank you.
We'll go to Keith Blaine.
Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to stop by and say hi and a friendly reminder of our dog, Invisible Fence. So in the last 3 months, I've put together more information for our town's attorney. I found precedents across the country and verbiage that might support the council's review. And that's all. I just wanted to say hi. And I'll give this to you.
Thank you. I have no other speaker cards in the room. I do have one hand raised on Zoom. Austin Marshall.
Hey, hopefully you can hear me.
We can.
There's a problem with the Zoom. I can't see any video. I can only hear audio. So I'm having to watch on YouTube at the same time, listen in on Zoom.
Okay, thanks for letting us know. Do you have a comment?
Maybe it's better served for the budget item. Basically, I just want to say if you can cancel the contract with Flock, cancel the contract for Kata. That'll free up some funds to pay for some important things in this town.
Thank you. Okay, we have no other hands raised on Zoom, and it looks like our fearless team from KCAT is working on the Zoom issue. For anyone that is having difficulty watching the meeting on Zoom, you can watch it on YouTube, and you can stream it on YouTube on the live. Okay, great. We will now close verbal communications and move to our public hearing, which is to adopt a resolution approving the Town of Los Gatos fiscal year 26-27 operating budget and 26-27 through 2030-31 capital improvement program, among a variety of other items. Christina Alfaro, our Administrative Services Director, will present the report.
Good evening again, Council. Christina Alfaro, Administrative Services Director, and I'll just wait for my presentation to pop up on the screen to get started.
I just wanted to ask if members can't watch on Zoom, do we want to pause for a moment?
Sure, we can pause for, do you want to take a 5-minute break? Or we'll take a quick breather.
Okay. We have our Zoom room camera working, and that's what people can see via the Zoom. So there may be a slightly different view if people are viewing from YouTube. But people on Zoom are able to view if they click on the tile that shows the council chambers.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And thank you very much to our friends at KCAT for all your hard work to make this work. Okay. Then in the interim, we've had one person raise their hand for, is this, Jeremy, are you raising your hand for public comment? Or for, okay, no, I'm seeing multiple hands go up, and we've moved on to the budget, so I think we'll reserve your comments to the budget. Okay, turn back over to staff.
All right, thank you. Good evening again. We're here this evening to conduct a public hearing to adopt the fiscal year 26-27 final budget and the 5-year forecast and the capital improvement program, and also to talk about adjustments to the fiscal year 25-26 budget. Here we go. All right, on the agenda for this evening, we're going to go over the recommended changes to the proposed budget since we last met and had the public hearing on the proposed budget. We're also going to go over some recommended changes to the fiscal year 25-26 budget. We're going to actually talk a little bit about where we think we're going to end fiscal year 25-26, and then briefly go over the council recommendations. The changes since the proposed budget hearing. I tried to break these out by fund type. So in the general fund, you can see overall it's a $2.4 million increase to expenses. And this is also outlined in one of our attachments as well. So we reduced the internal service fund charges by $1.5 million, increased transfers out by $3.8 million. This is $3 million out to the capital fund to create the new reserve, and then about $800,000 out to the internal service funds, as you may recall, for various facility projects. Next, in the internal service fund, you see the offsetting revenue reduction in internal service fund charges for vehicles and equipment of $1.5 million, and then the $8.8 million increase in revenue from the transfer in from the general fund to the facilities ISF fund. Overall, it was a $0.7 million decrease in revenue. We also had a $0.3 million increase in facility projects. There we go. And then changes to the capital funds. We had a new fund created, Long-Term Community Benefit Fund. We also transferred in $3 million from the general fund revenue. And then we committed those $3 million in a committed reserve. Overall, it was a $3 million increase in revenue for the capital funds. Other requests that are included as attachments to the staff report, where we added an unassigned narrative to page C29, that's attachment 4, which basically talked about how we built up the unassigned fund balance. We also included a survey of Santa Clara County agencies regarding what they do with their ERAF revenue. Moving on to the 25-26 budget adjustments and estimates. This table here shows our recommended 25-26 budget adjustments. Overall, we're recommending about a $3.4 million reduction in revenue, and this is primarily driven by the sale of the Tate property, which will not materialize until next fiscal year. And then there's some other small adjustments really related mostly to aligning the budget to updated projections. In terms of expenses for the general fund, we are looking at making potential adjustments regarding the salary saving amounts. And this is really related to which departments were able to bring in salary savings. These are budgeted in each department's program budget, so we just may need to make some adjustments. Likely this will result in more of transfers than in any actual budget adjustment. All right, and then this slide shows a minor adjustment in the other funds for VTA Measure B Education and Encouragement Grant. So it's an increased revenue of a little over $54,000. Year-end estimate methodologies. I wanted to spend a little bit of time here as the town has historically used a different methodology for year-end estimates. I wanted to call out, we're trying something a little new this year, and so we wanted to call a little bit of attention to it. We're going to talk about really the expense side of the budget. And salary and benefits has historically been projected out as of mid-year or December of any given fiscal year, where we generally take what the first 6 months of payrolls have looked like, take an average, and then project that out to year end. This year, we did more of what I guess is closest to almost a straight line methodology. So we took our actual payroll as of March 31st. We took the payrolls that were in March, and then got kind of the average of a single payroll and projected those out to the remaining payrolls. For the operating expenses, we generally ask departments as part of mid-year to estimate where they think they're going to end the year, and that is what makes up our year-end estimates. This year, we did a trend analysis where we took the last 4 years of actual expenses as of March 31st, and we determined a percentage that had been collected as of 3 months of the fiscal year, 75%. We then applied that percentage to actual expenses as of March 31st in most cases. There were some accounts that didn't have good trend lines, or there were some accounts where no dollars had been spent to date. For those accounts where we did not have good trend lines, but dollars had been spent, we assumed they were at about a 75% spent rate. And projected them out accordingly. And for those that hadn't spent any dollars to date and hadn't requested any kind of carryover, we assumed that those would remain unspent to the end of the fiscal year. For all the other categories listed, we assume the budget that has been currently approved. And the result of this is overall, using our current year-end estimate, and this does assume any revenue reductions that were presented earlier, it assumes we'll end the year in a positive $1.3 million. Using our alternate year-end estimate methodologies, we're assuming a $4.9 million surplus. So there is quite a variance in between the two. We did run the alternate estimate on 24-25 numbers and came within that budget, but significantly closer than what had been previously estimated. In future years, we'll kind of continue to refine this process. Our goal really is to, at this meeting, give council a good indication of where we think we're going to end the year and hopefully get closer to that number as we go forward. So with that, that brings us to our next steps. So in July of 2026, we'll be publishing the adopted budget and the capital budget. We anticipate bringing the final NHA advisor reports to the Finance Commission, and these are the 3 reports. In August, at the August Finance Commission meeting, and then bringing the final NHA advisor reports to the Town Council, either the second meeting in August or the first meeting in September. And this is going to be dependent on any work that needs to be done after Finance Commission reviews those reports. We'll be back to talk about where we are in the upcoming fiscal year in February with the mid-year, fiscal year 26-27 mid-year financial report. The recommendations are on this slide. I'm not going to read them out loud to you, the same ones that are included in the staff report. And with that, that concludes my presentation.
Thank you very much. Questions for staff? Yes, Vice Mayor Risto.
Thank you. I appreciate the explanation of some of the methodologies and how even with the budget we had, kind of refining it. So if I understood you correctly, doing the alternative year-end methodology, our surplus goes from 1.3 to 4.9 expected, correct? And then it sounded like you said if you went backward and applied that methodology to the budget the year before and applied that methodology, it came out very close to where we really ended?
I believe we were less than $500,000 off from where we ended.
Okay, now that's 1 year, but it sounds like, okay, with those kind of estimates, we have some level of confidence that this isn't overly optimistic?
So when looking at the numbers, I wanted to be really confident, right? So I would love to have put in at least 1 or 2 more years, but based on the historical data that we had available, those were the only 2 that we could do. But looking at the numbers and where you've ended and a little bit of the conversation of where you've historically ended, where you have had these large surpluses, it would lead me to believe that we needed to adjust our methodology a bit. So I'm really looking forward to seeing where we end and any potential adjustments we need to make as we go forward. But I feel like we will likely end, if you're asking me, I think we're going to end closer to the 4.9 than the 1.3.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? All right, I just had a quick one on ERAF. So it looked like about, of the cities that you were able to get information from, about 2/3 put in their budget, spend the full amount, each year, and then about 1/3 don't. Did that change? I mean, and then Mountain View does something that sort of makes sense, which is they spend it once they receive it. Does any of that change anything for you, or what's your sort of perspective on ERAF right now?
I think not necessarily until we hear something more from the county. I think there's been some moves that have been a bit more promising in terms of how the county has handled ERAF recently. So before, they wouldn't give it to us until after the end of the fiscal year. They wouldn't even project it. So the county has made some moves to do some of those items, and I think it's more of a wait-and-see pattern, especially given that the bulk of the other agencies do actually budget the full ERAF amount.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for putting together the little spreadsheet with the info in the other cities. Okay, then I will open up public comment on this item. We have about 10 speaker cards here, and we will begin with Jeff's. We'll begin with Jeff Suzuki.
Good evening, council members. First, I'll disclose that I'm not speaking in my capacity as a Complete Streets and Transportation Commissioner, but in my own personal capacity as a private resident and the president of the Los Gatos Anti-Racism Coalition. I am here because I believe very strongly that we need to prioritize the safety and well-being of our residents, present and future. With a potential detention facility planned in Gilroy, ICE activity is likely to not just consolidate, but escalate in the Bay Area, in the county, and potentially in our town. Masked agents roam the streets of our neighbors up in the north in unmarked vans, and people are disappearing. Children have lost their mothers and fathers.
Mayor, is this I think right now we're on the budget item, unless the council.
I'm getting to this. I'm getting to that.
Okay. All right,
yes.
thank you.
Yes, I promise. Children have lost their mothers and fathers. The work sites have struggled to fill their shifts, and homes have been shattered, communities uncertain of where their friends and neighbors went. This is all to say that there is an organization, well, a coalition of organizations that is actively helping to deal with reducing the harm that these federal immigration enforcement agencies have brought upon our neighboring communities and potentially our own community in the future, the Rapid Response Network. A few days ago, I spoke with a representative from Amigos de Guadalupe, and they asked us to support their position that the town of Los Gatos should approve a one-time $20,000 grant to help immigrant families to provide educational support, potential legal support, to ensure that people are given their due legal rights, that they are protected, that they know what their rights are, and that they're provided with potential life-saving emergency care. And for that reason, I urge you to approve $20,000 to potentially help community members, not just in the county, but in our own town, if that time comes. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Sue Ann Lorig, who will be followed by Kathy Mattingly.
Hello, Mayor Moore, Vice Mayor Risto, and Council. I'm Sue Ann Lorig and a resident of Los Gatos. I want to tell you how happy I was to witness the raising of the Progress Pride flag in Los Gatos yesterday. It was well attended, had awesome speakers, including Mayor Rob Moore, other public officials, and students from Los Gatos High School, and no counter-protesters. It went off without a hitch. The pride flag was able to be raised because of this council. It demonstrates your dedication to diversity and inclusion and makes me proud to be part of this community. I want to go along with what Jeff was saying, and I support funding the Santa Clara County Rapid Response Network. It would be a tremendous way our town can continue to show support of being an inclusive community. It will also help us to stand with other towns and cities across the county. We must stand together, or our residents stand a high risk of being targeted by federal immigration authorities. Mass federal agents have apprehended and abducted people without identification, reading them their rights, or even telling them why or what is happening. They've jailed them or taken them to concentration camps across the country, or even to countries where they have never lived and don't speak the language or have family or contacts. They've done so violently and brutally, even killing people, U.S. citizens, people on their way to or leaving immigration hearings, people following the law. This is totally intolerable, and we must let it be known up front and be absolutely clear that we will not stand for such lawlessness and brutality here in Los Gatos. I urge you, please provide the $20,000 in one-time funding for the Santa Clara County Rapid Response Network. Thank you.
Thank you. Sue Ann, it looks like you have a question from Vice Mayor Risto.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Sue Ann. That's okay. And maybe I should have asked Jeff Suzuki, but I'll ask you, can you explain to me what 20,000 will do? Like, why that number? I'm familiar with the Rapid Response Network. I just don't understand.
Jeff has more of the details on that than I do.
Or I don't know how.
Perhaps one of the next speakers could address that.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry. I've seen it, but I don't have it.
Thank you. All right, we'll go to Kathy Mattingly, and Kathy will be followed by Patricia James.
I won't have that answer. But good evening, Mayor Moore and council members. My name is Kathy Mattingly. Thanks for permitting me to speak in favor of allocating $20,000 to Amigos de Guadalupe. I am here with the Los Gatos Anti-Racism Coalition. I do not speak as in my role as a leader of the Anti-Racism Coalition of the Diocese of San Jose. I do want to say that my work as an advocate has provided the opportunity to cross paths with Amigos on a number of occasions. When the Winterfaith Coalition and the social justice teams of St. Lucie and St. Thomas of Canterbury churches worked together to start a safe car parking program, Los Amigos supported us in finding a way to vet our guests so that we could assure our volunteers and their fellow guests of our safety. Both volunteers and guests have included citizens of Los Gatos. Today, Los Amigos serves in an organizational capacity with a program that continues that safe parking with a month-to-month rotation among a number of nonprofits. I have also encountered Los Amigos in the forefront of food collection and distribution, tiny homes management, etc. Tonight, we are here to support this organization as part of the Rapid Response Network, whose members and programs provide support to residents of Santa Clara County, including Los Gatos citizens, residents, and workers, to ensure that they have whatever help they may need to ensure that they are able to access their civil rights in the event of any threat. I know that budgeting is one of the most important and difficult jobs that any public servant is required to perform. The question here is why scarce resources should be spent outside the immediate needs of the town of Los Gatos and of Los Gatos. My proposed answer is that the Rapid Response Network is exactly that, a rapid response that can ensure citizens and immigrants' rights in a professional manner that has proven itself over and over to de-escalate situations before they get out of hand. That's why I'm here with the Los Gatos Anti-Racism Coalition, asking you to consider including Los Amigos and the Rapid Response Network as a vital county-wide resource worthy of your support for their benefit to the County of Santa Clara, and so that they will be available in the event that a potential issue arises in Los Gatos. Thank you for your attention and for the vital work that you perform.
Thank you. We will now go to Patricia, who will be followed by Nigel Chandler.
Hi, everyone. I'm Patricia James, and I'm a resident of Los Gatos. I am here to speak about that same item of the $20,000 one-time contribution towards the Rapid Response Network. And my belief, which may need to be validated, is that they are asking each city and town in Santa Clara to participate because their initial budget of Santa Clara County cut $500,000 from their annual budget. So if that stands, there's a wide cap. So what I wanted to point out about the Santa Clara Rapid Response Network is it's awesome, and it includes a lot of services that other counties don't offer to residents, and one that I think would speak to anyone, regardless of how you feel about immigration issues, is that they provide a lawyer who will meet the person who is detained. And in the case where many people are being picked up at their ICE appointments, going to immigration court, and there are people who are in the course of following the legal process for asylum or for visas or for getting their green card. And I think most of us would agree that it is wrong to detain people who are following our legal process. So they, in the Santa Clara Rapid Response Network, send a lawyer immediately to help the detained person, and with the help of Los Gatos, they could continue to provide that level of service that will prevent people from being detained for weeks or longer who should never have been taken in the first place. So I ask you to consider making a contribution as the other cities and towns are being requested to make. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to Nigel, who will be followed by Gus Hu.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nigel Chandler. Today I'm speaking not in my capacity as a Complete Streets and Transportation Commissioner, but as a private citizen. For the past 3 months, myself and a number of others in this community have been coming to every council meeting to ask the council to join its neighboring communities in taking a stance against ICE activity in Los Gatos. By this point, I'm sure we're all very familiar faces. At the last council meeting, you heard me mention the cases of 2 families who applied to the Los Gatos Anti-Racism Coalition's rental assistance program due to the forced detention of a breadwinning parent. We can see very recently in the news that a detention center is planned to open in Gilroy. This facility will function to make room for ICE to further its operations in Santa Clara County, including Los Gatos. Now, I know you've heard this one before, but I think it's incredibly important for the town to take a stance on this issue. You have a proposal from the DI Commission already on hand. You can discuss at any time. While this is incredibly important, and we've stressed this for some months now, I think that it's not the only way that you can make a positive difference. Today, you have the chance to take a stance in a profound way, making a concrete impact on the lives of people suffering in our community. I would wholeheartedly support the proposal to allocate $20,000 in one-time funding to the Rapid Response Network, who specialize in support for those victimized by federal immigration enforcement. I hope you will consider it this evening. Thank you. Also, to speak on a question that you had earlier regarding what the Rapid Response Network does, I know that a number of speakers have come up to talk about it already, but just to say in my own personal experience, when we had organized our vigils back in February, when ICE activity was a furor, right, and everyone was very active and involved in the community, the Rapid Response Network had organized packet assemblings for whistle packets and for informationals to be distributed. And so some of this $20,000 will be put towards making those packets, for example, to make people in our community more active and ready. It will allow the Rapid Response Network to continue operating, compensating staff. They coordinate real relief efforts, legal support, as we've heard, materials including food, other supplies. I believe that a representative from Amigos will be speaking tonight, and I think they'll be able to give you a more rounded answer. So, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Vice Mayor Risto.
Thank you, Nigel. I guess the question I have, and I can ask the representative as well, so how did 20,000 come up? I mean, if we're talking about a $500,000 hole, was there a discussion of dividing by population or?
I am personally unsure about how they came up with that proposal because I'm not a part of their organization.
Okay.
Yeah. But hopefully they'll be able to be here to speak tonight.
All right,
thank
you.
Yeah, thank you.
Great. So next we have Autumn, and Autumn will be followed by Kylie Clark.
You called me next.
Oh, did I? Yeah. Okay, then go ahead.
Okay. I'm asking not to approve this because there's too many discrepancies. The soccer field that said 2.5 million for the replacement cut down to 1.3, but there's really no money into it. It's like 20 or 30,000, and you spent whatever you collected on a 5-year policy, which was wrong. The Loma Street, the pictures that I sent you. This is a number one. This was, needs to be investigated. This is an old picture. It was a flood thing. I think they took it was taken care of a couple of years ago, and you should look back to that, how much we spent on that. Number 3 picture, this one is number 2 is the budget for the fire, 13.2%. Anything that we do remember, if you remember the dollar, Central Fire gets Protection District gets 13.2 cents out of everything. Town of Los Gatos gets 9.3. So we don't need to create our own fire department and emergency. All that property taxes take care of. This is a picture of you, Rob. Last thing on number 3 is for Lynn Avenue things. It has a date on it. I mean, a timestamp and stuff like that. I came in here and, way back when, and I got this October 18th. That's when I actually was planning on suing the state and Valley Water for the easement stuff. And you guys came in there. It's on that lawsuit that I filed way, way, way back before I even knew you, based on a prophetic dream. The restrooms that Sarah talked last week. Sarah, let's see, what was it? Sarah Murphy talked, been pushing this through town. I found an article dated September 20th, 2024, and it says that we've already spent $25,000 on it, and looking at $500,000, and this is a restroom. You have 100,000. You budgeted just for the 100,000 just for a design. We're spending hundreds of thousands. It's probably a couple. It looks like 150 just for a design. And the 4456, 2 people spoke on it, and in 18,000. Get the numbers right. Let's actually see how much are we spending. It should only cost 150,000, 200 maximum to all this. Don't don't have so
Thank
many
you.
people do it. Thank you.
All right, now we'll go to Autumn.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Autumn. I am a Los Gatos resident of 10 years, and like many who spoke before me, I'm here tonight to urge you to make a one-time commitment of $20,000 to support our county's rapid response network. As a Los Gatos resident, I care very deeply that every member of our community feels safe and can be safe. And I truly believe that the Rapid Response Network is an entity that is extremely well positioned to help our community do that right now. Our Rapid Response Network is the entity that helps our neighbors, our immigrant family neighbors, know their rights. It is the first group that takes action when a family member has been detained, a family has been separated, when the unthinkable happens. And I think it's a truly worthy group worth putting resources in for our Los Gatos community and for our neighbors. I personally work in public health, and we know that the types of immigration enforcement tactics that are being used right now, those that are intended to create a lot of fear, are really bad for everyone. When fear is used as a weapon, families don't seek resources, seek services. Children might skip school, parents might skip work, families might wait until a simple medical issue becomes an emergency to seek care. And all of those impacts have ripple effects across our community and in undocumented families and mixed immigration status families and for all of us, regardless of our immigration status. And so I see tonight as a really unique opportunity for all of you to take a really tangible, concrete step to put action behind those words that the town has promised to be a place where we are inclusive, where everybody belongs, where everybody can feel safe. And so I urge you to make this commitment tonight of a one-time $20,000 in funding to the Rapid Response Network. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to Kylie, who will be followed by Joe Enns.
Hi, Council. My name is Kylie Clark. I'm a resident of Los Gatos, and I'm also here to request that the Los Gatos Town Council provide one-time funding to the Rapid Response Network, perhaps in the amount of $20,000. I think that in Los Gatos, sometimes we kind of like to think that we're separate from the rest of the county or even from the country, but we're not. And none of what is happening is isolated, and our community is both hurting because of the attacks by our federal administration and is benefiting from the work that nonprofits and rapid responders are doing. Also, our community and its members are contributing to these efforts. We volunteer 24/7 around the clock. We act as trained legal observers, and we protect our immigrant neighbors in Los Gatos and beyond. However, we cannot do this alone. We need our council to protect us through policies and to support monetarily like our neighboring cities have. Priorities, like those that are reflected in the budget, are not just based in our desires. They're derived from our reality. And I think we're living in a very specific reality right now. People in our community are being taken away. Los Gatos Anti-Racism Coalition just provided rental assistance to a mother and child whose breadwinner was detained by ICE. And the Rapid Response Network not only bears witness to detentions like this, but also walks step by step with the families and with the detainees to make sure that they're supported the entire way through, and it gets them back to their families a lot of the time. Los Gatos should contribute to this work that nonprofits are doing for our community. Also, why $20,000? I think it just kind of felt fair considering San Jose is investing $1 million this year. It just came out in the mayor's June budget message today, and Santa Clara County is somewhere near $11 or $12 million for these kinds of services. So we could actually, probably get more specific and think about exactly what number makes sense for Los Gatos considering what other cities are doing, but I think this felt like a good place to start. And the funding will be used to fund the staffing, administration, and ongoing costs of the Rapid Response Network, which responded to 5,499 calls in just the last year and provided emergency legal response to 236 Santa Clara counties that were detained by ICE or at high risk of being detained. So that's not just one-time legal support that's like deep legal support for that many people. So to me, this really feels like the honestly least controversial way that we can support our community through these attacks by funding the Rapid Response Network, which has loads of members and so many supporters in Los Gatos. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll go to Joe Enns, and that is our last card in the room.
Thank you, Councilor, for listening to me. I usually get up and talk about the homeless. And excuse me, I got to speak up. The work I do organizing those people. I'm not going to say anything very negative about the ICE stuff, but I do have to say $20,000 and why that figure. And if it was itemized and somebody could speak intelligently where the money was actually going, my personal opinion is organizations that are going to do all this and do all that, everybody's driving nice cars there. I think for $10,000, I can get an immigration attorney to work with my people even, and do as much as this other organization that's all, and we don't have those problems here. We have one buddy that married somebody that shouldn't be here, and they were, beat up and detained. I'm sorry for getting personal about this. People come to Los Gatos and live here because it's pretty inclusive. And if you can live here, we don't care what race you are. My mother was a Mexican immigrant, so it's kind of personal too. They worked and fought like other immigrant families. And they were not getting somebody to come and be the baby father so they get assistance. I could rattle on about that, but that's about as unfiltered as I can get. I think I would suggest the council investigate this $20,000 where the money's going, because I think you could do the same thing with a lot less. I'm going to talk about Home First and another organization. These companies, they're all like neatly packaged. Where's all the money go, though? Thank you very much.
Thank you. It looks like we have one more speaker card from Lee Fago.
Good evening, Lee Fago, 30-year resident of Los Gatos, and I'm speaking as a resident, not representing any group. I do want to say that it's been interesting to see this change in the budgeting process and the results of that change in the process. The new town manager has put in place a team of town employees who are more focused on looking at the real issues, the challenges, and how to manage them. The Finance Commission, which came about because of the citizens putting a petition out, getting enough signatures so that indeed there is now a well-qualified set of commission members who have a financial background and business experience so they can help make recommendations to the full council and the town staff on how to better manage our budget. And the evidence is prevalent in this new finance report and budget proposal, whether you see the changes in the numbers and the methodology for getting to those numbers. And this revised allocation and spending budgets in the budget without tax increases, yet still delivering quality services in our community says a whole lot about how proper management can be effective in managing the budget and the quality of life for all residents in the town. So thank you for these changes. Keep it up and keep working together collaboratively. And though not present tonight, the Finance Commission deserves a salute for the work that they've done as well. So thank you all.
Thank you. It's our last speaker in the room. We have two speakers on Zoom. We will start with Jeremy B. He'll be followed by Austin Marshall.
Hi, good afternoon or good evening, Mayor and Council. Jeremy Bruce with the Rapid Response Network of Santa Clara County and Amigos de Guadalupe. Thank you for your consideration. Our ask is an allocation of $20,000 to the Rapid Response Network to support with hotline staffing for our 24/7 ICE hotline. Since January 2025, the hotline has received over 7,600 calls and our volunteer base of rapid responders has grown to over 2,700. Santa Clara County has been greatly impacted by immigration enforcement, even though we're not seeing the dramatic raids as in other cities like Los Angeles, Chicago, or Minneapolis. We are experiencing one of the highest, if not the highest, rates of targeted operations in the state. We are far and away the highest impacted county in Northern California, and we are seeing immigration enforcement on a daily basis. So your investment, we were thinking of a practical and modest investment of $20,000, so Los Gatos can stand up and show your values and stand up for our immigrant community during these uncertain times. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Yes, we have a couple questions for you, Jeremy. First from Councilmember Rennie and then from Councilmember Hudis.
My question is, what's your total budget?
Our total budget is about $1.1 million.
That doesn't sound right because I thought the county, from what I saw, gave $8 million.
$8 million is the total legal service, what they invest in legal services organizations. So those are all the legal services organizations in the county. Rapid Response Network receives roughly $900,000 from that pot.
And then San Jose put in $1 million, and how much of that are you getting then?
We receive roughly $225,000.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Hudis?
Thank you. Not that familiar with this since it's just come up tonight. I guess the first question is, I'm looking at the programs from Amigos de Guadalupe, and it looks like there are 12 different programs that are listed. Is there any way to segregate contributions for what is being called rapid response? I don't see rapid response as one of the programs, but is there any way to segregate a contribution in that way?
Yes, absolutely. So Amigos de Guadalupe, we just serve as the fiscal sponsor.
Mayor, could I jump in?
Yes, 1 second, Jeremy.
The town does have a policy that provides that any council member can request, after hearing public comment, any council member can request that an item be placed on a future town council agenda for discussion. And so my recommendation would be that since this wasn't part of what was noticed, that if a council member would like to have this placed on an agenda for discussion in the future, that could happen under council matters.
Okay, my understanding of the line of questioning is regarding a potential budget allocation of $20,000. So I think it's for the purposes of this conversation, I think Councilmember Hudis' questions I interpret them to be germane, but we will keep it budget oriented. Thank you for the reminder.
Thank you.
Jeremy, please continue. Sure. Yeah, to answer the council member's question, yes. Well, we are just serve as the fiscal sponsor of the Rapid Response Network. The network is made up of 10 different nonprofit organizations, and when we receive contributions or we receive funding, they are specifically allocated to the Rapid Response Network.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Badami?
Thank you. Thank you, Jeremy. Can you identify the neighboring communities that have made contributions? I heard San Jose and I heard the county, but surrounding communities to Los Gatos, can you identify other communities supporting the 20,000 ask?
Yeah, we're in the middle of the budget process with cities of Santa Clara, Sunnyvale, and Mountain View, as in addition to Los Gatos.
Okay, so have any of them committed, or you just are making the ask to Santa Clara, Sunnyvale, and Mountain View? I thought I heard. What was?
Correct. Yeah, none of them have made commitments yet. We are we are having meetings and we are, advocating through the budget process, just like we're doing with Los Gatos.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Jeremy. We will go to Austin Marshall.
Speaking as a rapid responder myself, I'm calling in to express my support for the idea to fund Rapid Response Network in the absence of action by council to restrict town property from being used for ICE enforcement activities. Funding the Rapid Response Network is one concrete action the town can take to push back against ICE and protect our immigrant community. I know you have the funds. The Verkada and Flock contracts, which actively harm our immigrant community and the town at large, would more than cover the funds being requested for the Rapid Response Network, which already does more to help the town than AI mass surveillance. Or if you don't fund RN, maybe consider taking action to restrict ICE from using town property. It costs you nothing. Also, the Zoom is still messed up. I can't see the video and can only hear audio. I'm watching on YouTube, but it's delayed. Thank you.
Thank you, Austin. All right. I see no other hands raised on Zoom. So I will close public comment and turn back to the council. Begin with Councilmember Hudes.
Yeah, thank you. This last conversation seems to be a request by a nonprofit for funding. Is this the type of thing that would typically be part of the town's community funding program?
It would be, and subject to the decision of the council at this meeting to approve the budget, the library will be opening the grant process sooner than it did last year.
So just to follow up, so a grant to a 501c3 such as this one could be evaluated through the community grant program. Is that correct?
It can, but I was also researching, I believe the council took an action last April 2025 restricting your ability by resolution to accept grants from the dais during the budget process and to put them through the community grant program. But I'm searching for the resolution that the council approved.
Okay, it seems to me, and just to kind of refresh people, is that we did have many requests from nonprofits, and a number of years ago put in place a process to evaluate these requests. Some of them are for food grants, some of them are for adult daycare, other kinds of programs that have been typically requests of the council budget. And so I think a very good process was put in place a few years ago with a rubric for evaluating, looking at benefit, and looking at how the town can allocate its scarce resources. And so, if it is possible, I kind of agree with the town attorney that this isn't an agenda item, and part of the reason is that we have typically handled these kinds of nonprofit requests through the community grant program. And so I would just ask if staff can follow up on that and let us know whether that would be an appropriate way to look at this request in the context of other ones.
Councilmember Rennie.
Thank you, Mayor. So I agree with Councilmember Hudes. We created this process because this is my 12th year doing budget, and we've had all kinds of zoos of, people coming and asking for money for every different thing. And, when you just hear people talking, you don't really know what you're donating to. It's better to have a formal grant process where you have something correctly written down that it can be better evaluated. This sounds like a good thing to fund, but I also agree that it should go through the grant funding process. But I wanted to ask, how much money did we put in the grants this year? I've now forgotten. I know back when we made that decision, we were thinking things were tighter than they're sounding like they are now, and maybe my question is, should we maybe bump it up by another 20 so that there's enough room for staff to be able to accommodate this, assuming we get a reasonable application?
We're allocating $233,950 this year.
Thank you.
Can I just, where is that in the budget? Because I'm looking at the proposed and I see 155.
Hopefully I'm not looking at the wrong number here.
Because that's how much we allocated last year.
This may include some other grants. It's on page 111. Let's go search through a little first.
I'm looking at page C70 of the budget. While staff is looking for that, Vice Marista, did you have a question?
Yes, as long as we're looking at that. I agree. I mean, in the past, we've had a variety of groups come forward, and if we go off script or if we go out of process, it can get chaotic, although this sounds like something that's pretty immediate. So I guess the two questions I had, as I look at, we have sustaining grants, which are just automatically renewed to nonprofits, and this is a one-time ask. And then I'm looking at the one-time competitive community grants, which goes through a process where a committee decides what gets funded. And even if we added more money, I guess I have two questions. One is, what is the maximum grant that can be given? Because I don't see anything in the one-time grants that exceed $10,000. There's one $10,000 to Child Advocates of Silicon Valley, and every other grant, oh no, there's a $12,000. Every other grant is lower than that. So I don't even know if we've written it so that $20,000 could not be allocated. And then the follow-on question is, when are those grants released? Because I know the grants have to come in, and then the committee does the judging, and then the money is released. And I don't know if we're talking about a lag of weeks or a lag of many months.
There's a selection process that occurs, and the funds can't be released prior to July 1st since the allocation is in the new budget process. Because of the delay last year due to the change in the process, those were delayed a little even more. And so the selection committee, which I think has an arts commissioner, I don't know the full membership, reviews applications, can only review applications for those who have not received grants in the previous year, which I don't believe the Rapid Network received a grant last year, and then makes a decision after scoring those.
Right, I guess what I'm wondering is, I know there's a period of time where people can submit grants, so I don't know what the deadlines are for money going out, and maybe there isn't an exact number.
I don't have that off the top of my head, but I think this is partly the reason why the council passed the resolution, which I'm still looking for, to not consider making one-off grants from the dais and to put it through the community grant process. So if you decide to make that the direction, that will differ than what direction you gave with the new program last year.
Understood. And then I guess while we're looking this up, can we find out what's a maximum grant that can be given through the competitive grant process?
If you're willing to take a break, I can consult with the library director.
Okay, or at least that's on a list of things to find out. Thank you.
Yeah, we can. I have a few comments, so if you want to, do you need to call? Okay. Okay, we can take a quick break.
Thank you.
We'll take a 5-minute recess.
Thank you. I had a chance to speak with the library director. The council did take action last year to approve a new grant program, and in doing so, in the implementation part, the library director established a $10,000 limit to grants. That limit was not a limit established by council, and so the library director is open to increasing that grant amount to $20,000 as a cap for the one-time grants. The grants will be released here imminently after approval of the budget. Decisions made in early July and checks cut in August.
Very helpful context. Thank you very much. Okay, well, I'll chime in on this. So I very much appreciate the comments we heard this evening. I think this is a very worthy cause. I'll speak to the process and then to the issue. I'm generally in agreement with what Councilmember Rennie said. I think, so we do have, it sounds like we have $155,000 in one-time grants that are allocated through the community grants process, and another about just shy of $100,000 in sustaining grants that we don't touch generally. So and I think last year we allocated funding to somewhere in the ballpark of a dozen organizations for one-time grants. And so I think the idea to increase the community grant amount by, say $20,000, I think is a good idea. So that's the process piece. To the issue that was raised by the community, I know in the past the council and Town of Los Gatos have been somewhat reticent to adopt a policy or a statement in response to ICE or saying that we won't cooperate with ICE. I think part of that, from what I've heard, is the fact that is seen as a symbolic action. I think the ask of the community today is the opposite of symbolic. The Rapid Response Network is a community-led coalition of legal professionals and volunteers organized to protect immigrants. They operate a 24/7 hotline to dispatch legal observers. They verify reported ICE raids and provide emergency legal and family support. And one of the things that I think is an important context as well is that Los Gatos has well over 100 rapid responders. I think we have almost 200 people that have gone through the training to become a rapid responder who live in Los Gatos. And as the commenters shared, the Rapid Response Network has faced significant funding cuts. And so I think this would be a really excellent way for Los Gatos to do its part to respond to the heinous attacks that have happened to our immigrant community. And while the town council doesn't have direct control over the community grant program, which is a bit of a concern for me. I mean, I think my ideal would be to allocate funding directly to the Rapid Response Network, but understanding that we put this process in place for a reason, I think increasing the funding that can be allocated through the community grants program would be an elegant solution to that challenge. Yes, to our director.
I just wanted to clarify, it's 155 total. That includes the sustaining grants and the one-time grants.
It's 155 total?
Total.
Oh, okay. Oh, so we have very little money in this program. Was the 200 number a past year?
It's in the general fund. So the community grants have a separate program that has the 155. I confused it with the other pot of grants.
Okay, I'm just looking at the at D233, and I think something is not adding up all the way, because we have $10,000 to Cassie, $23,000 to Live Oak, $20,000 in rental assistance. That already takes us over $50,000.
Right. If I can chime in. So first of all, yeah, if you look at page 233 and 234, they're broken out into the sustaining grants, and that totals $99,300. And then the one-time grants, if you add those up on the next page, that adds up to $55,600. $700. And then if you look at the third page, D235, it pulls it all out and it shows $155,000. So for the grant program. I agree with
that
everything
I think we're
you
way
said.
low.
Yes. And then the other thing I noticed, if I could continue, is if we had a limit of 10,000, there is one grant that was given last year for Live Oak Adult Day Services that was $12,000 under the one-time competitive.
Yeah, I'd have to consult with the library director on the criteria and how that was awarded.
Okay, but that's more of the committee's decision. We did not put
Correct.
any rules around that, so that's not part of a policy that would have to be changed if we thought.
No, the only direction that came from council on the sustaining grants and the dollar amounts, and then the overall amount in the program. If you believe the overall amount in the program is too low, the council can recommend increasing the $155,000 on the one-time grant side if that's what you choose to do.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Councilmember Hudis?
Yeah, just reading the rules from the 25-26 program, I think we're going down a path of talking about a very specific grant here. And so while I think some of the services may be important and needed by our community, I also think it's important that we evaluate this in the context of the community grant program. And so the community grant program that I'm reading says that no strict maximum is set. Requests above 10,000 are unlikely to be funded in full. And then there's another point here that says that the services must 100% of the project you're proposing must take place within the incorporated boundaries of the town of Los Gatos. And so one thing in terms of evaluating some of the requests we've heard tonight is, does this organization have the ability to segregate the funds to rapid response, first of all, because they have 11 other programs, and secondly, do they have the ability to segregate the funds for the town of Los Gatos and its residents? And so those are all questions that to me would be best answered through the community grant program. And so while I have felt that the community grant program is really an excellent one, and when we had more cash, I put a motion forward to put hundreds of thousands of dollars of ARPA funding through that program. But I would be reluctant tonight to sort of earmark an amount for this particular request without going through that process. So again, we don't have a motion on the table, I don't think, so I'm kind of getting ahead of myself in making comments, but I did want to emphasize that I think we have an excellent program. We have some other very important competing needs, including feeding some of our residents and housing them and some other things. And we have allocated a limited amount of money. And so I am not against increasing the amount in that pool, but I am not in favor of allocating it for a specific purpose tonight.
Yes, Vice Mayor Risto.
Thank you. I think Councilmember Hudis' comments are good. What I think about is, as I look at the whole program, I don't know how much our need will go up. And so I would also not want to increase, for example, by $20,000 with the assumption that the library group, that the evaluation committee will give that money. I think going through the process, Los Amigos de Guadalupe can fill out the form, and if they can demonstrate how much money they need that would stay in the community, that would fit our boundaries, that would be really helpful. I think it's such a timely issue. I imagine that it's quite fundable. What I think about in terms of the amount of money we have, I'm a little concerned that under the sustaining grants, where we've got rental assistance at $20,000, I know the two organizations that do rental assistance hit the limit pretty quickly. And I think with inflation and everything else, that is a concern. So I want to think about like how much money we allocate to this program and how it's divided between the sustaining and the competitive. We don't know what other aid groups or really important groups will come forward in the competitive. But for our sustaining, I don't know if $20,000 for rental assistance is going to go as far as it has. I don't know if I'm not hearing from the Methodist Church. I don't know if 7,800 is still covering shower services. I don't know if domestic violence victims are getting the money they need. So in that vacuum, I'm hesitant to just start raising things. But I mean, for me, I know that laundry vouchers and rental assistance are not covering the need.
Councilmember Rennie?
I think we're starting to overthink this. I'm going to try to put a peg on the board. I make a motion that we increase our grants budget by $50,000 with $20,000 more for sustaining and $30,000 more for one time. I'm open to suggestions of modifying that motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, great. I'll just chime in. I think that's an excellent way to approach this. That's all I got.
I do have a question for staff, because if we increase the amount for the competitive, that's easy for us to do because there's a committee that decides how it goes. If we increase the sustaining grants, does staff need direction on how it divides out, or does everything that we sustain go up proportionally? I mean, I think that needs council direction.
The last time council did this, they designated specific sustaining amounts to organizations and their purpose.
That's what I thought. So what was your breakdown, Councilmember Rennie?
I said 20,000 more for sustaining, and I think I'll leave that up to staff to determine how to allocate that out, or possibly even add to this a new one to the sustaining as they see fit.
Okay, so I'm sorry. So we can assume that groups will come forward, or staff will understand through our assistant manager who works with some of these groups or others where the need might be, or which groups are saying that they're running out of funding.
Can I ask us to take a step back, because we're heading down a road that is a lot more convoluted. Staff have not been making decisions on sustaining grants. That's been directly coming from the council. And traditionally, those organizations have been organizations that we've been providing ongoing support year to year. And it was prior to my time, so I don't know exactly how they were decided upon being the organizations that we supported. And so I'd be a little reticent to ask staff to determine what organization do you want to give $20,000 on an ongoing basis. I just won't award it. I'd ask the council, if you want to allocate $20,000 to a group, either have the selection committee decide, and if you want to provide some criteria, you could provide that criteria, or make the decision from the council.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Councilmember Hudes?
Yeah, given that background, I'm not that supportive of the motion with regard to the sustaining grant portion. I think it may very well need to be increased. As I said a couple of times, I think that we should put more money through this program. But I'm not sure that we know tonight who the recipients should be of the sustaining grant. And so I'd prefer to move forward with something that did not include that and only included an increase for the competitive grants tonight. The point about the sustaining grants is that it does take some thought, and some of the organizations are not on autopilot, especially because of the county cutbacks. So there's been a big change in terms of the nutrition program, and what is going through the former through Live Oak. Part of that program is not providing some of the pickup food options, and I think West Valley Community Services And potentially, I think even SASE is providing some of those services. So I think we need to take a look at the sustaining grant portion with a little more information from staff so that council can make a good decision. So I'm not that much in favor of addressing that portion tonight.
Yes, Councilmember Rennie.
So again, we're kind of looking at an overall high-level budget. I would still offer my motion, and then staff can come back to us to figure out how we might want to allocate the $20,000 in the sustaining as another agenda item in the future.
So I hear that. I also hear staff saying they're uncomfortable with that, and I think that's an appropriate reaction from staff. I think that's sort of our job. I mean, one of the things we could do is do a proportional across the board increase to the sustaining grants, where the organizations that are getting $23,000 get a $3,000 or $4,000 bump, and the ones that are getting less get less. Yeah.
My thought on that, sorry, and my thought on that is the specifics of the grant programs aren't on the agenda tonight. It's simply the budget. And so any motion that relates to a change to the budget would be within the parameters of what was noticed, but changes to the grant program would not.
Okay, I appreciate that. So could we then, if we passed Councilmember Rennie's motion, could we ask staff to come back with an item very narrowly focused on how to allocate an additional $20,000 to the sustaining grants program in 2 weeks?
The council can take an action by a vote of 3 to agendize anything in accordance to the agenda policy. So yes, I think the challenge for me is we're being asked a question to give you some parameters around policy that is so broad. If you ask me right now, Chris, where would you stick $20,000 for ongoing? Part of what I reported to you last time was potentially coming back to you for funding to support homelessness and homeless services, which is amongst our most at-risk population. And so the conversation that triggers this is, requests from the public to fund a specific nonprofit at a specific dollar amount. And so I don't know how, without more guidance from the council, I would be able to come back to you and advise you on how to approach that. My recommendation is, what I'm hearing is that the current $155,000 is not adequate, that we should be increasing the allocation to that. That's what I'm reading between the lines. My preference would be, if that's what your desire is, to increase the $155,000 by the $50,000 as one time or sustaining, and provide some criteria around if there's some emphasis you want that money to be put towards.
Vice Mayor Risto.
Thank you. Well, it sounds like if we have to do it at high level budget, I mean, it sounds like we can say we want to increase by $50,000. We can allocate which part goes to the competitive. And then I understand that it makes it difficult for the staff to come back if we agendize it with a staff report, but maybe we reach out to all of the groups that are receiving sustaining grants, ask them to come to the next meeting or submit information so that the council could then vote on how to allocate that additional money, and if there's other groups. But I think, I've heard from some groups. I'm surprised they're not here, but I think that you're right. I mean, our services to some of the most vulnerable people, the costs go up, the need goes up, people's dollars don't go as far with inflation, and maybe instead of spreading it across, we just, at another meeting, decide how that additional amount will be allocated for sustaining based on input we get. Is that a reasonable way to do it? I mean, it feels right to me.
I think asking us within, Friday is the deadline for the agendas for the next council meeting. So I think what we're doing is trying to shoehorn in a specific item into a specific program that the council thought out well last year. I'd rather you just allocate an additional dollar amount in that $155,000 and just increase the budget. And then we'll just let it to and either agendize a meeting where the council can provide additional guidance on how to implement the program, or just let the current process and the library director implement that with a higher dollar amount. And then folks can apply up to the $20,000 limit that the director is open to increasing that to.
But I guess the question is, if we want to increase the sustaining grants, that has to be a council decision. And maybe it doesn't have to be at the next meeting. If we say we're going to increase it, the groups get what they're getting, and we have a larger discussion in August or September about where the increase goes. Because I don't think the library director, I mean, the committee that makes these decisions makes the decisions about the one-time competitive. They don't make the decision on sustaining.
They do, but the last time the council acted on the sustaining, they were explicit. It was agendized and it was explicit to say X dollars for West Valley Community Services, Y dollars for the following nonprofit.
Right, and we don't have those numbers today.
And it's not. And I think we're trying to make a decision. We're trying to navigate getting to an outcome. And so council should just agendize it and get to that outcome. But I just need to raise the caution. The reason we relooked at the program last year was intentional to avoid the budget process, this process becoming one where a long line of individuals and groups come forth and ask money. You know, the chamber wanted to be here and request additional funding for their programs that we partner with them that are exceeding the cost of the grant that the town currently provides to them. And I told them I am not going to recommend that to the council. And so to not come here and then see another organization be able to get money from the town just creates another path that derails us from the process the council wanted last year. So I need just more guidance from the council.
Understood. Councilmember Badami.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Town Manager. That's my train of thought tonight. I'm not comfortable making any changes. We have a process that works that we set up last year with specific direction, and it seems tonight we're being set up for the increase for a specific ask that we're getting tonight. That's actually news to me. I being sprung on this, typically we get some advanced material that, hey, we're going to be coming tonight, and these are the reasons you should do this. This is news to me, period. So I'm looking at when we do our grant program, we don't have a lot of money, but a lot of times we prioritize and the money goes for more tangible results, such as hunger needs for Live Oak and even the homeless. This is almost for a what if this happens in Los Gatos? And it's, I'm not sure. I mean, I could see that it's needed in other communities, but this is more of a what if right now for Los Gatos. So when we dole out the money, I want something that is needed now that serves the greater community of Los Gatos.
Councilmember Hudis.
I think that we have a motion on the table in a second, and I was going to offer a friendly amendment to the motion, which would be for with regard to the sustaining grants of $20,000, that staff reach out to nonprofits to identify specific requests for nonprofits and specific dollar amounts, and bring that back to the council for consideration by the end of August.
Do you mean of the sustaining grant recipients?
Yes.
Councilmember Hughes, can you repeat that one more time?
See if I can do it the same way. So I move that staff reach out to nonprofits regarding the sustaining grant portion of $20,000 to identify specific requests for specific nonprofits and specific dollar amounts, and bring that back to the council for consideration by the end of August.
Vice Mayor Risto.
So I want to clarify, we're only going to be reaching out to the groups already receiving the sustaining grants, correct? I mean, that's the whole point of the sustaining grants.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you just said nonprofits. You didn't say these nonprofits.
Yeah. So I should say the nonprofits that are currently receiving sustaining grants.
As a seconder, I can accept that. With the
It's okay with me. I was waiting to see staff's reaction, but that this will go forward. It's pretty much what I intended anyway, so I'm accepting of it.
Okay, if I may, let me just reframe it back to make sure I'm understanding correctly. So the council wants to allocate $20,000 more to the sustaining grants in a process that we request those nonprofits that are currently receiving them to come back and provide proposals on dollar amounts related to that extra $20,000 for the council to consider in August, and that we will increase the one-time competitive side of the house by an additional $30,000, bringing us to a total of $205,000 for the community grant program in the budget.
Yes, that's my understanding of the motion.
And I just want to turn to the clerk. There needs to be a modification on the resolution, correct, with regards to community grants?
Since we're adopting the budget, then whatever allocations needs to be noted in the resolution.
And in that motion that I guess reframed back to you, also modifying the resolution to add language allocating $205,000 in the manner specified.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's a motion by Councilmember Hudis or a modification to Councilmember Rennie's motion?
It's a modification to my.
Okay. And that was accepted by Councilmember Ristow. Okay, perfect.
Okay, I am not seeing any. So process-wise, staff will reach out to those organizations. You'll let them know council took this action. So don't ask for all $20,000 because we're asking everybody. But if you have an increased need, please let us know. Something to that effect?
Correct. I'll have the library director do the reach out about what the action actually was, provide them the deadlines, have them make the requests, and then we'll package that into an agenda item for end of August. And then the director will still proceed with the higher dollar amounts of $20,000 for the max for a community grant program, but now with an extra $30,000 to be able to allocate.
Okay, great. And so the one process question is, it sounded like from the library director, the funding is usually allocated in late July for all of these organizations. So this will kick back sustaining a little bit.
I think I didn't hear the council wanted to make a different allocation on sustaining.
Okay, so we would just add
I
it.
think this would be them coming back and saying, if there's an extra $20,000, here's what we would like to use it for, then council could decide on that piece.
Okay.
Okay.
That is clear. Any other questions? Yes, Councilmember Dami.
I'll just make a comment. With that modification, that we are going to make it more equitable for other groups to participate, I can support the motion rather than it just being a specific targeted ask tonight.
Great. Then I will call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None? Passes unanimously. All right. Thank you very much. Now we're back to the budget. Do council members have other questions, comments, motions, direction on the overall budget? Director Alfaro, you were so clear in your last presentation that you've exhausted all of our questions. Yes, Vice Mayor Ristow.
Right. I think my only comment would be that it's great to see everything we discussed. You know, I'm on the Finance Commission, so having 3 meetings of discussion and then coming to the council and then seeing how this all reconciles, knowing that it's probably a little better off than we expected. We'll have to see how it goes, but I don't have any other changes to the budget or I just appreciate all of the good work and looking forward to how the year folds out.
You set a high expectation for your future self. Councilmember Badami.
Yeah, I'd also like to add, you know, hey, this has been great work. Thank you very much. But I also want to remind everybody what Mr. Fago did, that a lot of accolades goes to the Finance Commission as well.
Great, then I will look for a motion on the budget.
I would ask the clerk if she can put up the PowerPoint slide with the recommendations for the budget. and then we'll just have to slightly modify it based on the action you just took.
Was the action, Mayor, through the mayor, that the action we just took, did we just approve the resolution already with those changes, or do we need to approve it again?
The motion I heard was only to increase the budget for the grant program, and so.
And we mentioned that it needed to change the resolution also.
Yes.
So do we need to?
I think it'd be helpful to have a specific motion adopting the resolution as amended.
I think the amendment is just as amended. Okay, so the motion would be to adopt a resolution as amended approving the town of Los Gatos fiscal year budget, operating and capital budget, including new appropriations, minor corrections, and carry forward appropriations as presented in attachment 1. Adopt a resolution approving commitments of fund balances under GASB 54 as listed in attachment 2. Approve the FY 25-26 year-end budget adjustments and reclassifications as listed in attachment 3, and to adopt a resolution establishing the fiscal year 26-27 GAN appropriation limit for the town of Los Gatos as listed in attachment 7.
Yes.
I'll make the motion to accept those as just read by the town manager.
Thank you. Yeah, Councilmember Hudis.
I'll second the motion and also offer my comment about really the substantial progress that we've made in financial management in the town to allow us to have discussions that are truly about discretionary spending. It's not only important that we do this because of the budget, but it's also, I think, very important to recognize the progress that we've made in financial management that allows us to have the visibility so that we can make these kinds of recommendations and put in place the kind of processes that our residents deserve. And I think it's very much a joint effort of town staff, leadership, town manager, and our administrative services director, as well as the finance commission and the members of the council that have been able to benefit from the enhanced management that we have of our financials. So, with that, I strongly second and want to commend staff on bringing us this far.
Other comments, questions, thoughts on the budget? Seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Okay, the budget was our only public hearing or only regular item, and so we will move on to council matters. We will start with Councilmember Badami.
Thank you, Mayor. On May 20th, I met with a board trustee for the West Valley Mission College District, and on the 26th, I participated in a meeting of the Council Policy Committee along with Mayor Moore, and I've also met with residents on issues concerning the town.
Thank you. On the 20th, I met with a developer who has completed a pre-application, an SB 330 pre-app for townhomes on Alberta Way and Highway 9, which should be moving forward. On the 25th, I attended the Memorial Day event at the Flame of Liberty that was sponsored by Open Doors to Future Possibilities. And to make a comment, Mayor Moore gave a really great speech. I would say all of the speakers there were very moving. And somebody came up to me, one of the veterans who was visiting from Morgan Hill came up, and he said, usually when he attends events like this, it feels like a lot of the speeches are filler. And he said there wasn't a single filler speech. Everything was meaningful. And I would have to agree. On the 28th, I'm part of the Silicon Valley Clean Energy Finance and Administration Committee, and we made some recommendations for the Board of Directors meeting this upcoming week in terms of what to do with our budget and risk assessment. On the 29th, I had a social event meeting with the Good Old Gals, which is the fifth Friday of whenever. Every time there's a fifth Friday, elected and former elected women from across Santa Clara County meet together. So it's great to talk to people that were on Palo Alto City Council 20 years ago, find out what nonprofits people have started, where public life led them, and just get perspective on all of the issues that we face. On the 31st, I met with a Saratoga and Monte Sereno resident to talk about VTA bus schedule tweaking that they've done to probably get at least 50 Redwood Middle School students on the VTA bus. And they've got parents pre-signing up with interest. And so I'll continue meeting with them and someone from VTA to see what we can do about getting better bus route alignment for the high school and other things. And then finally yesterday, and I'll leave more to the mayor, but I was very excited to be on the front lawn of the Civic Center for the Pride flag raising yesterday. And it was a very celebratory feeling with a wonderful group of people there. And I feel like we finally stepped into the present.
Councilmember Hudes.
Yeah, a few interesting meetings. One was a discussion of climate resilience districts that was organized by our town manager and included the mayor of Saratoga and the city manager of Saratoga. I think there'll be more to come on that in the future as we start to understand how we can fund the substantial wildfire preparations that all of the communities are going to need to face. I participated in a site selection committee meeting of Los Gatos Thrives regarding potential sites for the new community center. I participated in Africa Day and at the JCC that was put on by a couple of organizations really highlighting the culture and contributions of people from Africa, and included some fantastic food and music. And I was really proud to see Los Gatos host that kind of event. It was very, very exciting to see a true multicultural event here in town. Very uplifting. I again participated in the Memorial Day event, and let's see, that was pretty much it. Thanks.
Rennie?
I attended the Silicon Valley Clean Energy Risk Oversight Committee meeting on May 28th. That's it for me.
Great, thank you. And as mentioned, I attended the Los Gatos' first ever Pride flag raising yesterday. It was a really beautiful celebration. It was really nice to be able to have some of the student advocates who came to the event speak and be involved. And it was just a very moving, very positive celebration. And you can go see the flag right now. It'll be up for the month of June. I had the honor of speaking at the second annual Open Doors for Future Possibilities Memorial Day event, which was co-hosted in collaboration with the Los Gatos Veterans Memorial and Support Foundation. It was at the memorial, which is I think it's easy for people in our community to forget that is not necessarily a common sort of memorial to have in a community, and so it was a very very powerful to be there. And I offered my reflections during that event on how, people of my generation have not had to endure the sort of global violence that, people of past generations have. And so it's very important to continue educating our next generation about, all of the lives that were lost to protect our freedom. I enjoyed speaking to Boys Team Charities, which is a great organization in Los Gatos. I talked to about 100 Los Gatos boys about what it means to be a man and how they can help our community, so really enjoyed that. I participated in a portion of the Pathway Society recovery ride, which was done by a Los Gatos Monte Sereno resident that did what's called an Everest ride, did 29,000 miles, 29,000 feet of climbing, starting at Purple Onion in Los Gatos and going up to Testarossa. Did that 111 times, which is crazy. It took 24 hours, and he raised about $35,000 for a new recovery center in downtown San Jose, which is a great win. I enjoyed participating in the law enforcement torch run, which for the Special Olympics, which was a great event. The vice mayor participated as well. And that was my first time ever doing that. We have some very fit Los Gatos Montecristo police officers. The bad guys out there should be very scared. Don't try to run on foot. Don't try to run at all, of course. But it was a really great event. Really enjoyed doing that and meeting some of the families of our officers as well. I attended and spoke at the Friends of Los Gatos Library's annual meeting, who are just such an amazing organization. They love the library more than anyone. It's amazing, their care and dedication to that space, and they are very good advocates for promoting their bookstore that's just above us here, the only used bookstore in Los Gatos, and so always check that out if you're looking for something. I attended a mayor's roundtable with the mayor of Mountain View and the former mayor, current council member of Campbell, for a pizza and policy event where we discussed, what are the challenges facing our communities. I spoke to all of the third graders at Van Meter, which was awesome. I spoke for about 5 minutes, maybe less, because not a lot of third graders want to hear elected officials speak, and then they asked 55 minutes of questions. They were so engaged. Like every kid there asked a question. They were just so wonderful and really enjoyed that. I attended the grand opening of a new business in Los Gatos, Palmetto Superfoods, which is in Old Town. Really good acai spot, and they are a rapidly growing business. They also, I always figure that acai and that sort of category of things will be very expensive. It's very affordable. So check it out. You can get a bowl for less than $10, which is pretty good. And then this morning, I gave the Hillbrook graduation speech, which is an honor that I think everyone here has done. And it's, a really moving event. We're so fortunate to have Hillbrook in our community. It's, hearing the students talk about their experiences going to, Ecuador and doing service in our community and supporting our homeless neighbors. And, it's a very unique academic institution. And so we're very fortunate to have that here in Los Gatos. And that is all I've got. I'll turn it over to the town manager and then town attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I know that we had speakers, and we've had them in the past, about concerns about ICE in our community. And I know I updated the council on this before, but I want to bring it up one more time. I've implemented an administrative directive that restricts authorizing the use of our facilities or resources with federal authorities without the authorization of the town manager and the consultation of the town attorney in analyzing it. And we have not yet have received a request, and if we did and it was one of significance, I would intend to bring it before the council for the council to give direction on such. So we have a layer of protection on some of the concerns that folks have in our community, and so I just wanted to highlight that again since it came up again. I want to thank Councilmember Hudes for recognizing the increasing transparency on the financial side for the organization. I'm a true believer, and so is Christina, that transparency in government and the public's money is very important. And so you saw increasingly better budget presentations and conversations. We brought in outside experts to continue to do financial analysis, and we'll see the fruits of that, the conclusion of it in August. You're now seeing the accounts payable and payable reports coming publicly and being sunshined for the world to see on the consent calendar. And then you're going to see future budget monitoring and staffing reports that allow us a deeper level of understanding on a regular basis. Where are we? What are we spending versus what's projected? What's coming in revenue versus what's projected? And how are we proceeding in terms of our vacancies and vacancy savings? All of that to say that we truly value our taxpayers, businesses, and residents knowing that their money is being well spent and that they can see where it's actually going. Lastly, I am very excited Yesterday was a milestone. The town of Los Gatos has now implemented its own electronic 311 service request system. And if you look on the screen, this is the web version. I don't know if it's my phone doing it or somebody else. If you can go to the top of the web page, I mean, we have a link that you can download on the news and updates, but on the upper right of the website, there's a new button called Report a Concern. And if you click on that button, like the clerk will do, it'll take you to a new page that's activated for those who don't have an iPhone or Android. If they want to report, they can report an extremely wide variety of concerns through this app that will go directly to the specific person who's responsible for the area for which they're reporting. This app is also available for iPhone and Android. I have it up here in my hands on my phone, and I encourage members of our community to download it. I know staff and council have had the pleasure of using this during our soft launch in the past month, but the amount of information here, this will be one of the most accessible ways to gather information from, what events are coming up, news and updates, agenda and minutes, business licenses, department and staff directories, and employment opportunities with the town, and be able to report. It also allows you to have a back and forth conversation with members of the town that are specifically responsible. So if you report a mattress in the roadway, the public Parks and Public Works team that will be dealing with that will be the ones that you could communicate with, and they're able to respond to you. It also provides a new level of visibility into cases that come in that many people in the organization can see the status. So we know if something is lingering, there will be multiple eyes to be able to get on that and make sure that we can get on top of that case, or get back to the resident and let them know the expectations if there's a longer lead time for response. We hope that this will improve our customer service and improve the service in the town, and also provide us data to better understand the level of activity that occurs in the town. With that, I'll turn it back to you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, and I'll turn to the town attorney.
No closed session items to report. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Yes, Councilmember Hudes.
This goes to the town manager. We received this information about the blighted property. Is this something that maybe you could provide us an update on in the next few weeks?
This has already been reported to code enforcement, and I'm waiting for an update as to the status of where code enforcement is. And I will say that many communities have to deal with blighted property. In a lot of cases, we're able to resolve it. In some cases, we're not, and we use an ever-escalating set of options to be able to get to conclusion. And so that is something that we will continue to monitor. But I will take the information that was passed out, and I will provide an update to council.
Thank you.
Okay. Without anything else, this meeting is adjourned.